Oh, I've never had that before. It now says got it or leave meeting.
There's updates and new versions and all sorts. Right, guys, welcome to my photography journey with Lee Sutton. This is our second Clubhouse workshop through a hosted speaker, so hopefully this is going to go extremely well. No pressure, Lee.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. I won't talk too much. I mean, my journey has been nowhere near what Lee has gone through, so I'm not even close to a position to really cover this topic, which is why it's great to have somebody else to come in and to be able to describe it in a much clearer, more succinct and more relevant way. So hopefully we'll get a good bit of entertainment from this and some really good tips on how to develop your own photography journey as well. So Lee, I shall pinpoint you, not pinpoint, that's not the right word. I will spotlight you for everyone and hand over to you.
Go. I can't share my screen. You're disabled.
That's a great start.
You know what? You don't want to look at me. Trust me on that.
Right, 1 second. Let's get that fixed.
Okay.
Right, you should be able to share the screen now.
Yep. The problem with that is.
I was going to say, you look like you've got like 3 screens in front of you.
Yeah, I've got 2 screens in front of me, so I'll share that one. And now when I press F5, we should hopefully all be able to see that.
It's looking a bit cut off at the side. Oh, there. Oh,
yeah.
What side?
I've got it.
You got it?
So you should.
Okay.
Okay. So this is me. I am very much a competition-based photographer. And I haven't been doing photography very, very long. In fact, my background is 19 years working in security as a bouncer. And when I retired, I thought, what am I going to do? And one night I'm sat down with the wife watching telly, and I come up with this bright idea and turned to her and went, I know, I'm going to be a photographer. And she gave me this look like, what? I said, I'm going to be a photographer. She says, you know nothing about photography. You've got snooker cues, fishing gear, golf clubs, and every other hobby possible in the garage. You don't stick at it. I'll stick at it, honestly. I'll stick at this one. So after a couple of weeks, and me pecking her head in really, she went, I'll give you a budget of 300 quid. Now, I didn't even know how much a camera was. So I'm thinking, 300 quid, that's great. So I started to look for cameras then. I'm like, oh dear. 300 quid does not get you an awful lot. So anyway, I managed to go on eBay and purchase a Canon 1000D with a kit lens. If you've ever owned a Canon 1000D, they're awful. They're awful, but it was a starting point. And a week later, I saw an advert on Facebook with somebody selling a 7300 lens for 90 quid. Again, knowing nothing about it, I went down to see him, and he said to me, what are you going to do with that? I'm like, put it on the camera and take pictures, you know. He's like, no, do you know what you're doing? I said, mate, I've had this camera 3 days. I haven't got a clue. So then he explained to me about Preston Photographic Society. He was a member there and how it helped him become a better photographer. So I went home and I looked on Google and I joined. So the very, very first picture I took, because when it came in the box, I was dead excited, opened it, and it had some battery in. So I was running around the garden. The very first picture I took was my garden shed padlock. Hopefully they do get a little bit better than that. Times have changed a little now. That's basically what I shoot with. I did have the Canon MP65E. If anybody does macro, I just couldn't get to grips with it. Very difficult macro lens. My favorite combination is probably the R6 with the 135mm f2. I absolutely love that lens. No good in the studio because I end up stood outside the studio, but absolutely fantastic for outside. Like I said, I've been a competition photographer for about 4 years. I compete nationally and internationally, and gained a few little bits of tin along the way. So I didn't know what to do with photography when I started. So I was looking through, how do you start? What do you do? I'd seen these images where bits were coloured and the rest was monochrome. And I didn't realise how much club judges hate this. I actually enjoyed colour popping. It didn't bother me one single bit. So I got up dead early. I got up at 6 o'clock to do this picture, and so did like the rest of Preston at the time. And I didn't know why at the time, but this gentleman here, oh, about to turn my laser on. This gentleman in red really, really caught my eye. I'm like, I don't like that. So I colour popped it. Colour popping is not what I do now, but I've always had, sorry, I'm joking. I've always had a history in urban exploration of old buildings. History was always my favourite subject at school for some reason, and I wanted to be an archaeologist. So I started off doing old derelict buildings. This particular one is a pottery. And literally, if you walk around here, you just drop down little holes that are like 3 foot deep, because where this is, the ground was so clay that you just had to walk outside and dig the clay up. The old bellows, again, I just like the texture and the look. And at the time, I found all this stuff really, really interesting. This was no wedding venue. And it was such a shame. The wedding venue was on the market for £1 million. And it's been on the market for 7 years. And it's slowly got wrecked. And last year, it caught fire. That's a strange one, isn't it? But if you just look at the detail, it is absolutely beautiful. The metal strippers have been in, we took a fireplace out, but it's absolutely gorgeous.
So you can see how that would have been a lovely setting in its day.
I could imagine it being. They had a really nice garden. It was overgrown, but you could tell it was nice. But there are dangers to doing airbags, like this particular wall that I'll come to in a second. On the other side of this wall, somebody's been on the roof, nicked all the lead, and as you can see, the floor is going. Because underneath it was this absolutely gorgeous panelled smoking room. I can imagine it in its day. It would look really fantastic. Anyway, at the time, like I said, I only had a 1855 kit lens, and it wasn't enough. I wanted a wider view. So I purchased a Takina. I think it's 12 to 18 mil or 12 to 24, whatever it was at the time. And I went back a week later to get some more shots, and that wall has collapsed into that smoking room in a week. Dangerous. But you never go by yourself to these places. HDR, don't do it. I learned that it's not nice. That's the normal shot that I would edit now. What I do is I go out in my car sometimes. I just drive, and I was driving along, and I was going past the end of a farm, and there was 2 tractors parked, but something caught my eye behind them. So I stopped the car because I'm nosy and walked behind, and these 2 petrol pumps were there. Now at the time, I'd only been doing photography about 6 weeks, so I still wore my old bouncer jacket, my black pants, and my black boots that I wore on the door. So I thought, I'm going to knock out farm door. I knocked out farm door. Farmer opens door. It's like, what? So is that your garage next door? He went, aye. Are you a debt collector? I'm like, no, I'm a photographer. You dress like a debt collector. I'm not a debt collector. Are you sure? And he went on and on at me. So after a couple of minutes, I was like, I just want to take some pictures at petrol pumps. That's all, if I can. He says, if you're not a debt collector, you can. I'm like, all right. I said, I just need you to move your tractors because they're in my way. So he did. And I've been and took these several times now, and he waves at me and laughs at me now that he thought I was a debt collector. And unfortunately, somebody's pinched that last year. So, does anybody here do landscape photography?
I've tried my hand at bits and pieces.
Yeah, I try bits and pieces because I don't know what I like. I like everything. I went with this guy from Preston who's now a professional landscape photographer who said to me, Lee, come on, I'll take you out and teach you a bit of landscape. So he got me up far too early. He said, we're going to shoot the bottom of a tree. So I didn't know what I was expecting. He took me down to this and he went, right, we're here. I went, where's the tree? He went, that's it. I said, those twigs are a tree. He's like, yeah, that's the famous buttermere tree. I wasn't impressed. I was even less impressed that we got no sun at all. So I reckon I could be a decent landscape photographer if sunrise was about 11 a.m. I can't really do these really earlys. I've tried many times, but I have a lot of respect for landscape photographers that get up early and go to the same location. So everyone kept saying to me, Lee, you need some filters. Filters, right, okay. I know nothing about filters. So I started reading magazines and one name stood out, Lee. So Lee, it's got to be pretty good. So I bought a big stopper, and this was my first ever picture with a big stopper. Nothing special. I read that little card with all those numbers on, looked at it and went, don't need that because I have to clue what it says. Just did 4 minutes. And that's what I did. 4 minutes of this naff, wet Lake District.
I quite like it, actually.
Does anybody know where that is? You might do when you see the next one.
It's not like Scafell Pike or something, is it?
No, it's Anglesey, this.
Ah, okay.
Now, I see this picture loads and loads, and people stand over this side and they get some of the sea in and the path going down. Now, at the time, I knew nothing about the rule of thirds or anything like that. I just wandered up here and went, oh, I like that cross there, and I like the lighthouse there. And I took it. And that became quite an important picture for me because I left school I'm very much uneducated, dyslexic, not the most intelligent when it comes to written work. And I entered this in Preston Photographic Society's competition. Now, every year, the first night is every member enters an image and it's judged by all your peers. And I got it in the top 5 and I was like, oh, great achievement. Then it won. And the president's there. Who's Lee Sutton? Will you stand up? We don't know who he is. I'm like, no, it's 80 people in this room. It's my first night there. And I was so embarrassed. But it started me off winning. But then I moved on to playing with Photoshop. Now, I tried skin smoothing. And to be honest, I've done such a good job on that. I have walls that are more bumpy in my house than their face. A little bit over the top. It's got a lovely eye.
It's a nice catch right there.
It is. It's all a learning curve, and that's a good thing that you're gonna learn. Then I bought a flash. Now I didn't know about off-camera flash, so I stuck this flash on my camera, and blinded the model from 2 foot. That's full 1-to-1 power of my take on the American Beauty shot. And what I do is, after a few years, I go back through rubbish like this and go, oh, and I re-edit it, and have a play. Obviously, I can't change much of the image, but things get a little bit better, and magically your eyes change colour. So I'm doing pictures of friends. That's a picture of the wife's friend. She's always an interesting character to photograph. I'm doing various models on shoots, and I'm enjoying it. One day we're coming back from the Lake District, and Colin stops and goes, oh, I want to shoot these. Colin's up here in red. And And I thought, well, okay, I'll do 20-second exposure, see what happens. Not a lot. And I was stood there scratching my head going, how the hell do I do this? So I took about 20 shots at really high speed, as you can see, because Mr. Sheep is very pin sharp there. And then I merged them all in Photoshop, sorry. And I put it in a competition, and the judge went 14 and clean your sensor. What's the sensor? What's he on about? I didn't know. It's 19 dust spots on here. Well, what nobody told me is I've been to Crosby Beach in Liverpool 3 days before, and I changed my lens on beach. Nobody told me, don't do that. That's where it all came from. So we went to Lytham, and we were doing a little bit of light painting. So I'm spinning this wool, and next thing, police van pulls up next to me. Window comes down. You all right? Fine, thank you, officer. What you doing? Just a bit of photography. What's the orange stuff? Oh, it's called light painting. Is it dangerous? Not if you stop in that van, mate. And by which time the other three guys had walked up from the beach, and you see this police officer looking at us going, over 50, over 50, over 60, over 60. They can't be up to much. just went, just don't burn anything down, and left us. Light painting with a firework. It's great to create orbs with fireworks. Makes you do them very, very quickly as well. So I had a friend, and I say had a friend, and this was no fault of my own. He rang me up, Lee, I have just picked up my brand new Range Rover, and it'd been snowing. We can go out. Great. So we jumped in, and we're off up Beacon Fell, and I went, stop. And he went, what? I went, look at the light on that tree. I said, it's beautiful. I'm just going to get a grab shot. So I jumped out of his brand new car and jumped on the snow next to the fence. Now, as I hit the snow, I then sunk down through the snow into the ditch, into the muddy water. And I'm still taking this picture because I'm at a better level, I think, then. And he's laughing at me. And then you see the penny drop, and he's like, are you in a ditch? And I went, yeah. He went, is there water in that ditch? And I went, yeah. Does it smell? Yep. For 2 hours, I stunk out his brand new Range Rover, and then he had enough and kicked me out. He never spoke to me since. It was a genuine accident that happens. So the same week, this was my best man at my wedding, Vic, and we're very much Marmite because he says, Lee, let's go for a saunter. Now, a saunter to him is a walk, and my idea of a saunter is about 400 yards. That's why I'm short of fat. His idea is about 8 miles. So he dragged me down the Langdale Valley all this way, and he's taking a picture of this post, and I'm like, why? It's, he's into his textures and his abstract and all this. Next minute, you're right, lads. And we look round, and there's a guy in a vest and shorts, one of these fell runners, running past us. Unreal. Us photographers are supposed to be the mad ones. So this is what I took of the day. If you ever go to this particular spot in the Langdale Valley, the middle tree does not exist. The middle tree is the end tree made a bit fatter and squashed down because judges like threes. So there's actually only 2 trees there. So another friend, Tony, rang me. He went, Lee, I'm going to take you to the most amazing place. I'm like, yeah, I'm not easily impressed. He's like, I'm going to pick you up at 2 p.m. No. a.m. a.m. Where are we going? Lake District. I'm like, well, sunrise isn't till 4:30. It's an hour to Lake District. That means you're making me walk for an hour and a half. He's like, it's just a little hill. Just a little hill. Little hill. So we went up Loughrig. Now that is Lake Windermere down there, And most mornings it gets this absolutely fantastic inversion, absolutely stunning. They'd actually got a bit higher. They got up here. Me being fat and asthmatic, I'm like dying, and I'm going to get my camera out here, and that was what I got. But my favourite shot of the day, even though I've pushed the sliders a little far with inexperience back then, it's just the last of it burning off and beautiful colours coming through. It's absolutely lovely. Now, I don't know if you remember, the Lake District had a lot of flooding about 5 or 6 years ago, serious amounts of flooding. And some of my friends said, we're going up, we're going to take some pictures. And I said, I don't think it's right. And they're just like, well, we're recording history. I said, but it's a lot of businesses gone out of business and a lot of people lost homes and things. But they went, I refused. I went up 3 weeks later. When they went, you could just see the top of this gate. So I took this picture and I put it in many competitions, and every judge said, oh, you've blown out the highlights. It's the sun. Come on. But, that's club judges for you. Anyway, I got a phone call off this guy I'd entered in a competition for the Lake District on Facebook. And he went, Lee, you've won. Have I? I said, what have I won? Print of your picture. Great. You can do that at home. It's like, no, it's a really nice frame. I said, to be honest, I've already got it on the wall. I wouldn't use it. But, oh. I said, but I tell you what. I said, do you have eBay? He went, yeah. I said, how about you stick it on eBay and any profits it makes you send to the disaster appeal? How's that sound? He's like, what a good idea. So we stuck it on eBay at 99p for 7 days. And we watched it go up and up and up. And it closed on £279. So the disaster fund got about 260 odd pound, which was lovely. And I'd love to see it in somebody's house. In any other room apart from the toilet would be great. But yeah, I'm glad somebody likes it. So again, my mate says, we're going up a little hill. Now, his definition of little hill and mine definitely vary, because this white building down here is a hotel. So we're quite high in the Langdale Valley. But when I got up there and got my breath back, it was absolutely stunning. Absolutely beautiful up there. And it's one of my favourite places not to go again, because I've never walked up a hill like that. I had to stop hanging onto a fence so I didn't fall down and be out of breath. But I haven't been to the Lake District for about 2.5 years. Absolutely, I do miss it. So then I tried lingerie shoots, and I tried art nude shoots, and the missus said no to both. So I don't do those anymore.
I take it you took the shots before you told her you were doing them.
Yes. Yes.
It's always better to ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
So here, I did it the wrong way around, unfortunately, so I can't do them.
Yeah. I can't do them unless I want divorce, but it could be tempting then, couldn't it? But this was a picture I didn't edit. I took very early on, and what I didn't like was the hair on her face. I didn't know how to get rid of it till about 6 years later, and when I actually edited it, how I was happy with it. So sometimes I always revisit photographs that I like and think, how's my Photoshop improved? Can I do better? Usually I can. Stuck this in a competition at Judge went 14. I'm like, oh my God, here we go again. He just went, all the red is just too catching, too eye-catching, distracting. I'm like, I really like this picture. What can I do? So I went home and I thought, what am I going to do with it? So I turned it to monochrome at first. And then I thought, what's she doing? Looking through blinds. What happens in Preston? It rains every day. I wonder if I can make rain. So I typed into Google and ended up on YouTube. And I made rain brushes. I brushed it on, and that image has 7 international gold medals now. So I didn't give up. Has anybody ever heard of BPEs? British Photographic Exhibitions. Very tough competition. You're going against the top photographers in the UK. I thought I was pretty good at photography till I started doing these, and then found out how rubbish I was. But this particular image I'd taken at Blackpool. I was stood on the sand dunes. I'd just got a 150 to 600mm lens, and I was shooting over the old pontins. I'd lined myself up with the middle of the runway, and I was quite happy with this because I've got 3 that are just going down to turn round, 3 that just took up with the wheels down, and these 3. But again, I'd edit it a little bit different nowadays. We're very lucky where I live because I'm an hour from the Lake District, about an hour and 20 minutes from Yorkshire, about an hour from Manchester, an hour from Liverpool. Now in Liverpool we have a beach where people pay £10, they take the horse box on, and they're allowed to run the horses up and down. So it's always full of photographers. And you just go down, take some pictures and send them to them. I sent this one to this lady and she's like, wow, your timing's brilliant. And I'm thinking, I have no idea what she's going on about. You managed to get all 4 hooves off the ground at once. 100% pure luck. I'm scared to death. Scared to death of horses. These things are frightening. When they're running at you, you're thinking, that's getting a bit bigger in my lens. But she loved it, so that's all that mattered. Tried macro, and I'm pretty naff. And I'm pretty naff because I'm chasing butterflies round at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when it's sunny, wondering why they won't stop still. Now I understand that these top photographers get up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and get them before they've warmed up. Hence why I don't do macro. I got a phone call off my mate. He said, Lee, come and have a look at my new pet. So I went down. I'm like, what the hell is that? He said, it's a praying mantis. I'm like, it's beautiful. Absolutely fascinating. So we set it up in studio, take some pictures. And I ended up keeping praying mantis for the next 6 years. I had quite a few. We've only moved house 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I've not managed to find anywhere where the wife will let them be. She had to live in the garage before. So my first ever reflection shot. Not brilliant, but you've got to start somewhere. So this was on Granada Reports. It's called a ring-bill gull. Now in America they're like seagulls. Over here we don't have any. It's really, really rare. And this particular one got blown into Preston docks and made the news. So I went down the next day. I thought I'd get a picture of this. Me and 200 other photographers. And everybody's looking. And Preston docks is full of seagulls. And the only difference is that little dark bit on the beak. And after about an hour and a half, somebody went, it's here. So imagine all these photographers running to one spot to get a picture. And to be honest, what I would do next time is I'd come home, get a picture of a seagull and just make the beak black. And I'd end up same job and save myself 2 hours. Wax wings, oh, absolutely beautiful. We haven't had any here for 4 years, which is such a shame. Yeah, I'd entered this in a nature competition. It has done really, really well. But once you've done and used it in nature competitions in the open, what are you going to do with it? Well, let's make it a bit arty. And we can enter it in a bit more arty competitions, and we can also stick it back in open competitions. One of my greatest, I love sport. Sport is, if I could do anything, it would be sport, without a doubt. I love it. And I went to Blackburn ice hockey. I just bought a 70D and a 7200 2.8. I wanted to test it because you can't use flash in there. You're at 2.8 and you're at 2000th of a second because the game is that fast with the puck. And I'm pointing my camera left, looking for the shot that's already gone right. I did games for 2.5 years and got 2 pictures that I could really, really use in competition. And this was one that did really, really well. So I started using Photoshop more, and I'm learning to cut out models and blur backgrounds artificially. And I started off dead easy. I started off with putting on my models in hats. They're easy to cut out like that. and various ones. And then I started desaturating backgrounds. I do anything for anybody. I'm one of those people that's not really money orientated. I have two disabled children, and 90% of my time is spent looking after them. So when someone says to me, Lee, I'm raising money for a charity, would you help me? Yes. So this lady said, I'm doing a calendar shoot. Would you shoot it? Of course I will. So I went down to see her, and she said, right, we're doing this calendar shoot. Come and meet the rest of the girls. I'm like, rest of the girls? Rest of the girls. There was 11 of them. Hardest day ever. The calendar raised about $5,500, which is absolutely fantastic. I expected one lady. I did not expect 11. There was only 11.
Do that, what was not allowed to do.
Yeah. Well, because it's a charity, I'm allowed to do it. That's yeah. That's more charity shoots actually. So I do a lot of these, and I call them street ghosts. And I call them street ghosts because people don't even acknowledge them. I try and take candid pictures like this, and I'll always go and have a chat with them. And I never give them money, because some will say, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict, but I'll always say to them, look, do you want a sandwich? Do you want a pie? Do you want a hot drink, cold drink? I always go get them one. No issue with that. Anyway, this guy was looking at me dead funny, and something didn't sit right with him. He was too clean. And next minute, this guy comes up to him and starts giving him loads and start arguing. And me being an ex-doorman and being nosy, I wander over and said, what's going on, lads? And the Asian guy goes, he's my next door neighbour. He's not homeless. So he got sent on his way. But all these are mainly Blackpool. There's an awful lot of drink and drugs problem in Blackpool. Very, very rare picture of somebody actually making eye contact. Because this is what you see 90% of the time. They just don't exist. And it's such a shame. This one cracked me up because he's collecting money while he's texting away on his mobile phone. It always got me, that one. Gentleman sleeping in the doorway. I don't really think it's much Merry Christmas, is it? I just like the way the mannequin was sort of looking over him. Now, I'm quite sure you've all heard of Preston's world famous bus station. No.
No.
Second biggest in the world, biggest in Europe, that. Now, this is concrete, over 40 years old, and it was due to be pulled down. We're like, great, it's a monstrosity. And 4 people started a group, Save Our Bus Station. It is now a Grade 2 listed building. It cost Preston Council 26 million to sort out. And looks like that. There are actually bars on now to stop people jumping off. There have been many, many over the years. But just before it was due to be demolished, Alexa, I don't know why it starts for no reason. All the years I have been there, this clock, this bottom part, has never had a weight. It's always said 0. So I wanted a picture before they took it all down. And when I went in, these 2 guys were just having a chat, and I thought, oh, they framed it perfectly. And I got my picture. They've now put a digital bit on the bottom, and I was in there the other week, and guess what? Digital bit doesn't work either. So it was quite funny. I tend to do a lot of street photography anywhere but Preston, because for some reason in Preston, everybody wants to kick your head in. Did you just take my picture? Why? Delete it. Oh, but you go Manchester, Liverpool, London, anywhere, nobody cares. Nobody cares if you point a camera at them. I just like the symmetry on this one, and the fact that somebody's actually thought about having some exercise to go up all them steps. Preston has the longest row of phone boxes in the UK. There's actually another 2 behind here, but they're way back. And the shame is they're left to rot now. So they're all the glasses smashed and everything. It's such a shame. I did see a sign on them about 2 months ago that said, "Rent me £25 a week." What am I going to do with a phone box for £25 a week?
It's amazing what you see people do with phone boxes, though.
Yeah, I can believe it. But in Preston, I mean, I don't know, if you got a double one, maybe you have a bit more room if they're together. But anyway, I decided I was going to try. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of a guy called Adrian Lyons. Does a lot of composite work, and I saw his talk, and I was like, wow, really enjoyed that. So I thought, I'm going to do my own composite, and it was for a competition in Preston, and this was the first ever composite I did, which is terrible. And I called it my Big Fat Gypsy Greek Wedding. And that's Tony, who's one of my mates, who's at the club. And when this picture came on the screen, everyone was absolutely in stitches. A, because it was that bad, and B, because it was him. But I have got a little bit better at composing pictures. And this particular image, just before Christmas it was, a lady went to me and went, "You flipped that picture, haven't you?" I went, "How did you know?" She went, "The lady's on the wrong side of the horse." Oh, busted at last. So I'm back to my portraits, working with light, monochrome, colour, seeing things that people don't see in group shoots. Now, when my old club used to do a lot of photography group shoots, and this lady walked in with this headscarf around her neck, and everybody took pictures, and I always go last, and I go last because I want something that nobody's got. I said to her, "Can we use your headscarf, please?" And she said, "Yeah." So I wrapped it up like this, and all of a sudden everybody else wanted the same picture. And luckily the president went, "There's no time left." It was exactly the same with this coat. This young girl walked in and she had this coat on. And when I asked her to put the hood up and these 2 little ears appear, I was like, wow, just really made it. And again, it was different. Has anybody been to Skye?
On my list.
It was on my list. And all it did was rain hard for the full week. The one thing I learnt about Skye is that horizontal rain hitting you in the face for 8 hours hurts after a while. But we did do a model shoot on Skye. There are 2 models. Liv came down for half a day, and we got some lovely pictures. And it's the only time it didn't rain, actually, so it was nice. So I'm back at my petrol pumps. I sort of do a lot of portraits now because of my children. Everything else is a little bit more difficult. Portraits fit in really well. This is probably my favourite picture, and I'm biased because that is my daughter, be it nearly 6 years ago now. I found out Preston has a railway museum. Lived here 50 years, didn't know that. So I went down, and it's a bit rubbish. Everything is bumper to bumper, and you can't get a decent shot of anything. But you get to ride the train. So you go 100 metres one way, 100 metres the other way. It's probably a bit longer than that, but don't feel like it. When we got on, she went straight to the window like that and started looking out. So I nearly broke my neck climbing over it. There's a table out here to get on the other side and start clicking away. And I got home with these pictures on my phone. "Are you happy?" I went, "No." She went, "Why?" I said, "Well, the seating was royal blue and black check. This is rosewood. This was green leather. My daughter's a redhead, and she has a yellow and pink cardigan on a blue denim skirt. So you can imagine how this really looks in colour." So in monochrome, it worked perfectly. So I did a lot of rugby for Preston Grasshoppers, and I did a lot of Photoshop in their rugby. As you can see, the picture runs downhill, not very evenly. I blurred the background there and added the rain, and this does fantastic in competitions. It does in nationals and internationals where it's only on the screen 4 seconds, they don't see the faults. Same as this one. I've artificially blurred it here. It goes up here and then drops back down. And what no judge has ever picked up on is I've missed everybody's feet off. But because the triangle is so strong, it does really well. Does anybody here do any sport at all? Do you like sport? Have you ever been to a velodrome?
Only.
I recommend it. Superb. The reason I say I recommend it is this one's in Manchester, which means it's the only dry place in Manchester. It's 78 degrees inside, so it's lovely and warm. And they have a stand that serves hog roast butties. Oh, I'm in heaven. So I've been about 7 or 8 times. Judges have no idea on cycling. So this one I call Left Behind, which gives the impression he's slower than the rest. But if anybody knows anything about cycling, there's 4 guys going round. On the last bend, this guy drops off. These 3 sprint to the line. The last wheel to hit the line is the time they score. But because judges don't know that, I always called it Left Behind. It did really well. This has been a very successful image. Monochrome, because basically these guys were in such a fluorescent pink, it actually makes your eyes water. But in monochrome, the positioning worked really, really well. And the 4th one had to get the chop. So I took the picture of what I thought was a dinosaur. Does anybody know what that is?
A bird.
That's as far as my knowledge goes as well. So I put it on Facebook as usual, a bird. I put an ugly bird. And then I got loads of earaches. It's a baby robin. Like, oh.
Yeah.
And I found this by accident. I was driving along and there was this lady throwing seed on this log. And I'm thinking, she's either lost her marbles or she doesn't know what. She knows something I don't know. So I stopped the car. I said, "Are you all right?" She said, "Yeah. I'm just feeding the birds." I'm like, "There aren't any. You go sit back in that car." So I went and sat back in the car 5 minutes. I must have seen 50 different birds. The next day I was there hiding bird food in all these little nooks and crannies. I'm sat in the car with the heater on, with the radio on, taking pictures of birds. And I'm like, this is my sort of photography. So I did that dumb thing those guys do, and I proposed to the girlfriend. What's worse is she said, "Yeah." So I'm like, "Oh, I've done it now, haven't I?" And she goes on her hen do, and a week after, she's like, "Where are you going on your stag do?" Because she's expecting me to say Prague, Amsterdam, somewhere like that. I said, "I'm going to go and shoot the puffins." She thought I was joking. But I went with some mates to shoot the puffins. Now, we stepped on the island, and this puffin I got 20 pictures of because it started raining like this. And they say to you, "We're not insured for rain, you have to go back in the boat and go." So I got this picture of a puffin, and I'm like, oh. So we're on our way back, we get to harbour, and the skipper goes, "Oh, good news, it stopped raining, I'll take you back. But I'm not going to take you to," I forgot the name of this one. He took us to Inner Farm, which is the bigger one. And on the way into Inner Farm, the noise you hear is horrendous. I don't know if anybody's been there. I thought they were winding me up because they said to me at the club, "Buy a hat with a wide brim and stuff it full of newspaper on the top." And I'm like, "You take it, Mickey." Here. I did it. I'm glad I did it because the turns just fly up and they just peck you. They literally have people like had blood coming out of their head because you try and get to the toilet. It's like, does anybody ever remember Gladiators? We had to run down and they had these 4 guys with these huge poodle sticks that just whack you. It's like, trying to go to the toilet is like that through turns. The noise was deafening. Anyway, I'm pretty naff at birds in flight. My brain doesn't go fast enough for them. But there was a particular picture I really, really wanted, and it was very much an R picture. And I walked round borough after borough after borough until I found this little chap or chapess. They're absolutely gorgeous. If I'd had more room in my bag, that'd be sat here with me now. They are so beautiful. So the first time I did deer, I walked up and I'm walking towards them and they all turned to me. So I just sat down on my knees, just knelt. I must have had good aftershave on because they didn't move at all. So anyway, 800 shots later, an hour and 20 minutes, they got up, decided to go. At that point, you realise you've hit such an age in life that your legs no longer work because you've been sat in the same spot for so long. So then you're led on your back, shaking your legs in the air, hoping there's nobody around looking at you because it's quite embarrassing. But obviously, I got back up eventually. We got a phone call saying, I need some help, please. This gentleman runs a hedgehog rescue centre in Preston, and he wanted some stuff, some shots for his website. And we went, great, how many have you got in? He went, I've got 118 at the moment. I'm like, wow. Can we make a donation? He's like, no, sorry, I can't take donations because I have to declare it as income, so I get taxed on it. I said, okay, how about food? Oh, I'd love some food. Okay, what do you want me to bring? So I'm expecting nuts and berries. Pedigree chum. Really? Honestly. They love pedigree chum. So we took 6 cases and he was happy. And I set a few shots up. I took the bucket myself and I bruised a few apples during the week. He just got 2 hedgehogs out for us because obviously during the day they sleep. If you notice, it's very, very green. I've been drying leaves out all week to try and get how I imagine sort of hibernation picture. Very much an owl picture again, but I like it. Preston Guildhall decided they're going to bring me up because I did a few bits of work for them, and they went, Lee, we've got the Russian ballet coming to town. Want you to take some photos? You've obviously never seen me dance. I have no idea on timing, left foot, right foot. And I took about 40 pictures all night because I was there with my mouth open going, this is amazing. I've actually been back to the ballet twice since. It's beautiful. And I found out my niece does ballet. So I got to pose like this, which was very quick, and I just photoshopped it to give it a bit of movement. But this was a shot I wanted. And I bought this second-hand violin for a tenner. And I've got some old guy at the club telling me, it's not a real violin. I said, hello, it's wood, it's got strings, it's got a bow, it's a 3/4. I said, I'm not arguing over a quarter. So I explained to my niece what we wanted, and she's like, I can't go and point that long. Okay, so I sat her on a chair, and I just cloned the chair leg out. So there was a chair leg here to get the point I wanted. Now, like buses, my first gold medals came together. This one, I understand. This one has the worst vignette and the worst rain possible. So if this is a gold medal, I can only think how bad the rest of them were in that salon. But I'm not going to complain. I knew when the Christmas tree was going up, and I said to wife, I'm just going to nip in town, get some pictures of the new Christmas tree. And I popped it on Facebook. I did this on the Tuesday. And on Thursday, my phone rang. And he went, it's blah, blah, blah from Preston Council. I'm like, okay, how can I help you? He went, you took a picture of the Christmas tree on Tuesday. I'm like, I hope it's a bit big brother, you know, in this. I'm wondering if we can have a copy. So why don't you go take your own? He said, slight problem. On the Wednesday night, there's a nightclub around the back of this building. 2 students got very drunk, came out and jumped all in the tree and wrecked it. And we've had to take it down for safety. So yours was the only picture of that tree. So Preston had no replacement tree that year. I did give him the picture. Has anybody done any harvest mice?
Oh, that's so cute.
I did a workshop and it's crazy. He turned up with his Tupperware box, about 2 foot, with about 6 mice in, and a piece of Oasis glued in the middle. I'm thinking, what's going on? Literally, whatever is stuck in the oasis, the mice run up to the top. You just take the picture. Easiest photography ever. Yeah, they're super cute, but super fast. So I'd heard the waxwings were back in Blackburn, and I drove to where they were, and there's a gentleman photographing a blackbird in a tree with no berries. So I wind my window down. I've got my daughter in the back, and I'm like, "Waxwings, mate." I said, "Have they gone?" He went, "They're on estate, lad." I said, "Where's estate?" He said, "Over there, lad." I said, "I'm not from round here. How do I get there?" So he's like, tutting at me. He's like, "Turn right, go down to pub. Not first pub, ale's rubbish. Turn at the white pub, the second one. You're on estate." I said, "Will I find him?" "Aye, you'll find him, lad." So I followed his directions. It turns into estate, goes about 20 yards, stopped. Must be 100 photographers across the road. Loads. And they're all there with the fancy gear, taking all these pictures, and there's me getting out and pushing my daughter in a pink pram to get pictures of these waxwings. We have some really beautiful birds here. And when I had more time, I used to set bits of wood up, twigs up like this, and feeder stations where they'd land here before they jump to the feeder. And I really enjoyed doing it. And I used to take my daughter when she was little out every Wednesday. We went to a little place called Mere Sands Woods, and it has 4 hides, and I never saw anybody. It was always dead quiet. And 3 hides were open doors, and one was a pull door across. Every time you pulled it, it went really noisy. So I opened it one day, and it's going, and I hear, "Shh, oh, person, real person." So I pushed the pram in, shut the door, shh, turn around, it's full. The hide is full. Like, shh. Like, where the hell have you lot come from? And like, "Shh, a bittern." "Great. What's a bittern?" "I won't mind a picture of that." You have to wait. So I'm waiting for about 10 minutes, by which time I've had enough. I'm like, "I just need to tell you, my daughter is currently asleep. She's probably going to wake up in about the next 5 minutes, and if I don't feed her, start screaming this hide down, there's a pretty good chance that bittern's going to fly off." Well, I was like Moses parting the Red Sea. They just moved. I went in and took a few pictures of it and just left them to it. Not that dead easy picture to set up. There is a feeder here that you just crop out. So the nut hangs on, picks a nut, click, perfect shot. And that made it into a catalogue for a salon and was credited to another photographer, unfortunately. So,
That's like ballet for birds, isn't it?
yeah. That's my brother-in-law. He rang me up and said, "Lee, come take some pictures." So I went, and it rained all day, and I sent him this picture, and he went, "It's no good." "What do you mean it's no good?" At the time, there were 7 guys in orange back here. I need them all gone. Like, "You don't want much, do you?" So I said, "Don't ask me to come back." And I removed 7 people from those fences. Back at the velodrome, different lenses, different angles, definitely one of my most favourite places. Rugby. I'm a season ticket holder at Rugby League, but Rugby Union has its advantages for shots like this. Because in Rugby League, they obviously don't have rucks and mauls, and you get these shots. Whereas when you photograph in Rugby League, you get more shots like these because it gets out to the winger faster. I think you get better shots. Tried power boats. God, honestly, that's boring. It really bored me to tears. The only decent thing was when I went to this place, I found a wall to sit on. And between me, I was sat on this wall, lovely little wall. I peered over the wall, and there was an ice cream van on the other side. I'm like, "Oh, this is good." So I went around and got an ice cream, and I saw next to the ice cream van was the pub. Like, they suddenly got a lot better. Never used any of these in competition. Don't think they do anything. they shift. They really do shift. And then this thing popped up in front of me. I'm like, oh, well, that's got my attention. It's Mr. and Mrs. And there was a couple of babies, but the babies were under the undergrowth and didn't come out. And I couldn't get a clear shot of them, which was a shame, but not to worry. My mate was getting ready to get married, and he said to me, Lee, you do my wedding? No. What do you mean no? You got a camera? Yeah, but I'm not doing it. So this went on for weeks. And 3 days before his wedding, he went, Lee, you ready for Saturday? I'm like, no. He said, I haven't got a photographer. Why don't you want to do it? I said, I've never done a wedding. I said, you get one chance at a wedding. Get it wrong, you've nothing. He said, well, I've got nothing anyway. So I did it. And I put the pictures, sent them to him. He put them on his Facebook. I put them on mine. Next day, a woman rings me up. You're a wedding photographer. Am I? How much do you charge? Oh, God, here we go. I don't have a clue. 300 quid. Oh, I want to book you for my wedding. I'm not surprised at that price. And that's how it started. And I sort of got up to about 26 weddings until COVID killed it. But it gives me a lot of pleasure when I get a picture like this. And if anybody's done weddings, they'll know I've actually had to take the DJ box and the DJ out. But you can just see the love, and it's, yeah. When you see a picture like that hanging on somebody's wall, you're like, brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So this was taken for a triptych competition. This was my dog. I say was. She's perfectly fine. I had a friend who lost his wife, became very sad and very depressed. And we had our second baby. I'm a very old dad. At the time, we were struggling to walk her. So I said to him, how about you have her for the weekend? And that was 4 years ago now. So she's never been back. I bought a new dog. So that is part one. Do you want to break, or do you want to carry on, or it's entirely up to you guys?
What do you think, folks? Want a couple of minutes?
No, I'm happy to carry on.
Okay.
I'm happy to carry on.
Okay.
That's fine. So, like I said, when I went to Skye, this was about the best weather we got. I quite like this gloomy darkness. Crosby Beach, I don't know if anybody's ever been there. It's one of the most photographed places in the country. You're trying to get something different. People bring t-shirts, bring scarves, bring hats now. What a lot of people don't know is when these were originally put in, 2 weeks later, they took 26 out because people were ringing the Coast Guard saying somebody's drowning in the sea. And then when the Coast Guard were coming out with the boats, they were just under the water and their heads were hitting the bottom of the boat and they damaged the boat. So 26 got took out and dumped in. They're in the, well, last time I saw them, they were in a library, just literally dumped in the garden of the library all over. So what do we think this is?
Honestly, don't know.
Looks like a groin.
Yeah, it's actually the sewer pipe. But if you put it in a competition and call it the Old Pier, surprisingly does very, very well. This is the actual pier in Lytham. It took me 4 years to get this shot because it's the water is literally on this board for about a minute and a half, and then it's off over it. So to get to see where I wanted it and get the light, it took about 20 attempts. And eventually I got this, and I was very, very happy. Then somebody suggested we'll have a club photo walk in November to Southport. Yeah, well, it's great if you're doing a thing on ghost towns. There wasn't a lot going on, to be honest. There was no people. Love Salford. Love going to Salford. Love taking pictures of this bridge that changes colour. It's quite magical. I went to Yorkshire, and I'm brave. And, I went to see some ruins called Bolton Abbey, and they charged me £10 to park. I'm like, what? I said, what's tenner for? He said, upkeep at building. I said, are you taking Mickey? I said, that's 600-year-old ruins. It's not even got a roof. So anyway, they charged me a tenner. While I was in shock, I'd taken some pictures of the abbey, and it was pretty boring. I walked around and I saw this couple fly fishing. I've never ever seen fly fishing in my life, and it was absolutely fantastic to watch. There's so much technique, and she hooked one. And I just loved the way the light hit the line. I thought this is going to be really good, and unfortunately she lost it, which was a bit of a shame. But it was nice. Bit of street photography in Windermere. Slowed the shutter down just to give them a little bit of sense of movement as the boat comes in nicely. Now, being a responsible parent, when your son is eating mud, the first thing you do is run inside, grab your camera, fire off a few rounds, then stop him eating mud, which is just what I did.
That's about
So,
right.
yeah, I went to Lime, no, it's not. Somewhere further down south, this one. Anyway, I turned up at 6 a.m. only to be greeted by these big gates that said open at 10. I'm like, oh dear. So I went back in the car for an hour, and I was contemplating going home. I thought, I'm going to have a look. There's got to be a way in. So as I'm walking round, one of the rangers' cars comes out. He's like, you all right, lad? I'm like, yeah, you're calling me lad, of course I'm all right. He said, no, I'm trying to take some pictures at deer. He said, we don't open till 10. So I'm going to have to go back home to Preston. He said, oh, that's quite a way. I said, no. He said, how many is there of you? I'm like, just me. Like, okay, I can get you in. Really? Yeah. So he told me where to go, and halfway down this dirt track, there's a button where they press it for all the deliveries to come in, the milk and bread and all the deliveries. He said, just park there with staff cars, and it was really good because I didn't have to pay for parking. And they're just absolutely beautiful creatures. But I can't believe I'm shooting these at 700mm. Yet there's idiots going up to them with iPhones, not even realizing how dangerous. You know, this is a young buck. When you get some of the bigger ones with these antlers, they can do some serious damage. In Liverpool, we have a red squirrel reserve, and it's fantastic. And people always say to me, I go and I never get any shots. How do you get the shots? I said, there's two things I do. I said, I go between September and October every year. I go to the same place and I take a bag of monkey nuts. Why do you only go then? Sun. Sun is here as opposed to here. So the light comes through where I go and there's no leaves on the trees. So I'm not getting loads of dapple light like the next shot. It's got quite a bit more dappled on. But again, dapple light. That's one of my monkey nuts. Can do very, very well. Setting up shots. You can actually see there, that's actually a screw that. And on the other side is a tub full of acorns. This was at my old house, the Resident J. It basically lived in the trees next to it, and at the end of my garden was an acorn tree. We had about 11 squirrels, and every year we'd have this fight. All I'd want is about 20 nuts, and trying to get 20 nuts was impossible. This particular year we'd had a great wind and a branch had broke off, and I had about 300. So I set this up, and he or she, I don't know what it is, came down every day, and I got loads of great pictures. Birds of prey. Hi, buddy. What's up, mate? He's just come in. Come here. Look, Daddy's talking to people. Right, it's your bedtime, mate. You gotta say hello. No, no. Right, Daddy's talking. Go find Mummy, please. No, you won't sit there. Okay. So that was a peregrine with a red partridge, and that's a blackbird, I think, that this one had got. But I was in the Lake District and I saw this, and I'm like,
Sure.
what is it? I didn't know. So I took some pictures of it, and I thought, it's too big to be a worm, but it looks like a snake. I didn't know about what slow worms were back then. And luckily I didn't touch it because I didn't know you needed a license to touch them. But it was a great little thing. Set in a studio. A friend of mine had a pet shop. So I went down, borrowed 2 of his frogs. This one and this one is the same frog. Put in. Those 2 are different. And it's just a straight reflection. But the good thing is when you do a reflection like this, you're controlling the flash, you're controlling the light yourself. I'm shooting these at f/16, so I'm doing it in one shot. It's that easy. A lot of judges say animals need to be doing something. Eating, fornicating. So you just stick one frog on top of the other and tell the judge it was fornicating. They don't know. But, chameleon. Now this, I'm trying to let the missus have one of these. It's absolutely fascinating the way it changes colour and shape and everything. You found a pound coin, right? Go find Mummy. Go on. You're pinching my pound coin. Nothing new there. And as I said earlier, I kept praying mantises for 5 years. And these are all mine. This is a dead leaf mantis. That's a bloodwing mantis. That one's got a name like the Welsh railway station that I can't remember. That's a green something mantis. Oh, I forget them now. But they're so easy to keep, and so you spend about £7 to £15 on one. They live about a year. You feed them once a week with crickets when they get bigger, but flies at first. They're dead easy. So again, I go back all the time to doing model shoots. And what I've done, I think the reason I've stuck at photography so long is there's so many genres you can do. If I do a bit of street and I get bored, I go to sport. Then go to portraits. I then go to wildlife. I think that's one fantastic thing about photography is we have so much we can shoot. So Vikings, I love Vikings. Obviously, I added the snow. There's a gentleman called Christopher Preet in Coventry who actually hand makes all these. This sort of outfit would be 2,500. He sells them to the film industry, and he rents them out basically on photo shoots for people. But he's really, really good. Anybody like motorsport? Now, I've done cars many times. The first time I went to do bikes, I found bikes accelerate 10 times faster than the car and are 10 times harder to get. But I did get lucky, and I got the guy who took the bend too fast, slid. He's probably going 100 plus mile an hour, and when they hit these gravel pits, I couldn't believe how quick he came to a stop. And the good thing is, you see him getting up. He couldn't re-enter the race. He couldn't pick his bike up by himself, which he has to do. So he was out. I've got a fisheye lens. I don't know why. I just decided one day I wanted a fisheye lens. I looked at Canons and it was £950, and I thought, I'm not paying that. So I got this little Samyang manual focus, f2.8, brilliant little thing. And that's from the end of the velodrome. When I was there, the ladies cycling team were there. and there was this big queue with this woman signing autographs. And I thought, I'll join this. And I got to the front, and she's like, she signs it, and she's like, "Do you want a picture with me?" I said, "Can I be honest?" I said, "I don't know who you are." And it turns out, I think her name's Laura Bell. She won the gold medal at the Olympics. I didn't know. She's one
You
of
see a
these.
queue, you join it, right?
Yeah, she's one of these. What behaviour? So I'm practicing panning. I get down to about 1/60th of a second. Pan a lot of shots. And the biggest problem is the individual pursuit. One guy starts on one side, the other guy starts on the other. And they go around as a time trial. So as a photographer, this is all you get. And you're like, well, what good is that to me? It's pretty rubbish. But with a little bit of Photoshop, you make a picture. And I do that a few times with those. Then they have this absolutely mad race with like 50 cyclists in. And it's 50 laps, but every 10 laps there's bonus points for whoever sprints off. And monochrome's the only way you can show this picture, because every single person has got a different colour top on or a different colour helmet. So I went to this place called Hack Green, and Hack Green is a secret nuclear base. Well, that's what it says on the sign. So we're driving down this country road, and I'm thinking this is going to be hard to find. And all of a sudden, if you Google Hack Green, it's like a museum that we hired. And literally, this building is probably 120 foot wide by 80 foot high by 60 foot wide. I'm thinking, how could anybody miss that? It's got a 300 foot mass next to it. It's obviously going to get bombed. It never did. It's completely self-contained. Right, where's your mummy? What's she doing? Talking, yeah. So it has its own built-in cinema. I took this in the cinema. Well, I originally took it. Ezra, you need to go down because you're making too much noise. Sorry. Come on, let's find mummy. I'm just gonna get his mum. I won't be a minute.
Right. That's how you know it's really live.
Because it's hot. Because it's the holidays, he's been to his auntie, so he's only just come back.
Aye. Full of sugar, no doubt.
Yeah, mum will sort him, hopefully. So when I took this picture, I really liked it. What I don't like, and what young ladies do, is they put loads of makeup on, yet look at the neck. It's a different colour. So I prefer it in monochrome.
I found that doing event, like black tie, formal type event photos.
Yeah,
you
it
have
was
almost orange in the face and
yeah,
pale
it's-
milk bottle white from the neck down.
they all do it now. It's horrible. Really don't like it. So all her pictures ended up. I mean, she's absolutely stunning. You know, you don't have to do really any editing on her, but yeah, it's just the makeup.
Kind of a classic 50s look to it, eh?
Oh yes, definitely. This is Jack, and Jack is a Johnny Depp impersonator. Absolutely fantastic he is. He also does Charlie Chaplin, and one of my favourite people to shoot. He does Mad Hatter, that I'll show you in a bit. That's fantastic. Now, sometimes you get lucky when you do photography, and I say lucky. And I was asking this little boy to walk towards me while I took his picture, but I wasn't paying full attention. I didn't notice the guy behind. It's only when I got home that I thought, wow, it's more of a story now. It's a guy who's seen his son get packed off for the war, and he's sad. The little boy's going to Wales or wherever. So I actually gave it more of a story, which was good. I shoot normal models, but Tally is certainly not one of them. She's a very, very interesting lady to shoot. Ben, that's a photoshopped image of Ben. just a street behind him, so it's shot in the studio. And I like to create images like this. This is called When I Sleep, I Dream. So the young lady's asleep, but obviously in the mirror in her dreams, she's wide awake. This is Jenny. Now Jenny's a full-on 5'2" scouser that's broad as hell, and Jenny is white as a milk bottle like that, not a mark on her. So I made a freckle brush. I added freckles to her that she found highly, highly amusing. Unfortunately, that day we did this shoot was so bright, and I just bought an 85mm 1.2 lens. That was shot at f1.2. The only thing I've done is all this was greenery, and I've made it auburn to match the guitar, her hair, and her boots, and I thought it worked a lot better. Retro Rob, he's a London model. He came up north, and without doubt, one of the best I've ever worked with. You know, super guy. Just his look and everything was spot on. This image I've had for a long time, and I decided I was going to play and make it look like the glass had come in. I made the glass look like it came in. I thought it's okay, but I could never find anything that, you know, people suggested bullets and all sorts, and I'm like, it was difficult. So somebody the other week said, why don't you do a stick of dynamite? So I did. I threw a stick of dynamite in. This gentleman is, well, we should all know who he's impersonating. I did say to my missus, it's Winston. And I'm not joking. The reply I got is, that is not the nodding dog. And I'm like, here we go. So she had an education on Winston Churchill. This is Pete. Pete's a professional actor, and we did a James Bond theme, and he was Blofeld, and he's an absolutely superb character. He was. Big bushy beard at the moment because he's doing some production for ITV. Now this image has just represented Great Britain in the Fiat World Championships. It was one of 15 images picked from the whole country of club photography, and I got a special black badge that they only give out, like an England cap. They give out a black badge, so I was very, very pleased to see that. And I called it off a children's book, Miss Peregrine and Mrs. Blackbird. Has anybody noticed a mistake? Mrs. Blackbird is actually a Mr. Blackbird. Somebody, I didn't know that. I've got away with this for 3 years, and then somebody went, "That's a male blackbird," because female blackbirds are a little more brown. When I googled it, I'm like, "Yep, you're right." I did this clown shoot, and to be honest, it was rubbish. And I'd just given up, and I said, "Just mess around." And she pulled her hair like that, and that was the best shot I got all day. And I just stuck Liverpool in the background. But if you really, really want to know what goes on in my head, it's a bit like that. Complete Armageddon with my kids. This young lady, I was doing an Asian dress shoot, and I said to the lady, the owner, I said, "Let's do the children first." No. My friend has to go. You do her first. By which time, 2 hours later, the kids were bored. So this young lady would not pose, wouldn't do anything. And she started rooting in my bag, and she pulled out my gas mask. And she put it on, and Mum said no, and I'm like, fine. And then she started to pose with this gas mask on. So when I got her home, I just had to put a new head on with some of the pictures. That was all, and I got away with it. I love composites. I do a lot of composites for my sanity. Like I said, my children are very trying, and this is what keeps me sane playing with the computer. So the background was Harry Potter World. My wife bought me tickets for my 50th, and we went down to Watford to Harry Potter World. I'm like, yes, I love Harry Potter, and she hated every minute of it. Double yes for all those clothes shops she dragged me around, and I got the model from another shoot, and that's a street light. I've doubled it up and just stretched it a bit, cast a spell, and it's done really well. This one sat on my hard drive for about 2 years. I photographed all those pages individually. I did about 80. Same as the leaves you saw earlier. I didn't have a background, and I was shooting a wedding. I went in this room and they had this bookcase. I spent half an hour in this room shooting pictures of this bookcase when I'm supposed to be doing a wedding. Okay, is it real? Is it fake?
The fact that you've asked the question means I think I should say it's fake.
That one is fake. That one's nearly real. They were all taken in the same place. They just all came down individually, and it was a bit boring, so I just put them together. So yeah, it's fake.
Is this the judges like threes again?
All judges like threes. It's crazy, stupid. When I do stuff like this, I'm forever getting told off because that tape to me gets in my way, so I tend to put it behind me, and they'll tell me it needs to be in front of me. I position myself on a bend usually because they're going to slow down a bit. They're going to angle for the bend, and once I get a pair of eyes like that, they can go on any other bike at all. I can transform them. So the harvest mice picture, same as before. These two corns were pushed into the oasis with the corns in the background. Would that make a competition standard? No. Far too busy. But with a little bit of work, it's good enough to enter in a competition now. What's wrong with that picture?
Is it going to be something ridiculous like the Milky Way is pointing in the wrong direction or something?
Yes, it is. In this country, the Milky Way goes horizontal, but I just like to wind judges up, so I stick it in deliberately. It's a composite, and the Milky Way's from a different shot I've got. It just worked on that. So I was very, very lucky in 2017 that my wife for Christmas got me 3 days in Iceland in a 2-wheel drive car. And I really wanted this picture. I drove 160 miles in -26, straight past it. This road here goes straight past it, and eventually it comes to 2 massive metal gates. And 2 men came out with guns and went prison, and I went bye. And I came back, and as I came back, I saw what I was supposed to be. So you park down here, and you walk nearly knee deep all the way around. And I set up here because I wanted the picture of these 3 waterfalls. Waterfall 1 frozen, waterfall 2 frozen, waterfall 3 frozen.
I was going to say, I think I've seen this before. There is a river that comes along from sort of the right-hand side there, isn't there?
Yeah, it comes down and comes. This is all frozen. It's the one picture I wanted, and when I got there, it was like this. Like, oh. But not to worry, it was, lovely 5-hour drive each way. Picture like this is really, really easy to create. So the background was a subway, and I've just added little bits of stripes and writing to make it look like a secure unit. Piece of glass that's sprayed with water. Take the picture, and take a normal picture like that. So you can swap the eyes. So the eyes are not covered in water droplets. They appear to be clear. I've got a lot of Joker pictures. They've done really, really well in competition. So much so that he threw 1 card and I've added a few others. So the PAGB rules in competition are you're only allowed to use the main subject once. Okay, but that doesn't mention I can't use the background more than once. So I used it for the ballet, and the one that did the best was Coming Out of Darkness, and that did the best. And all these leaves I have taken individual pictures of. I got 3 leaves and spent 6 hours in my garage hanging them all and placing them on cards to get loads of different angles and shapes and pictures. Never recommend it. Sometimes you're lucky enough to shoot a lady that just looks like this. Just yeah, blows you away. And again, you don't need to edit it at all. Normally I don't get this close to ladies because it's not flattering, but she's stunning, absolutely stunningly beautiful. Great way to get a cheap shot is by a B&Q blind for a tenner, as long as your model's got a nice pair of eyes. Always, again, I've learned from the last experience, monochrome, because the nail varnish just and the lipstick just clashes, and you get a lovely picture through. Then I started doing some fine art stuff, and I was going to put a panel together for the Royal Photographic Society, and I started doing it, and unfortunately we hit COVID, so I didn't get it finished. So I will do different edits on pictures, depending on the competition, depending on the style I like. Matthew is an amazing young lad. When I met him, he was 24, and everything he wore, he made. He sourced materials from original as he could, and he sells again to production companies. He's a tailor himself now. Most of it's hand stitched as well. Very talented young man. So various studio pictures. Little Harry, cheeky little lad, loves to get in a picture. Love that picture of him and his sister. And I'm just trying to create some fine art pictures with different backdrops. I've stretched the flowers in these ones to give the brown backdrop a little bit of colour. As you can see, that was the backdrop. I've just put the flowers in to give it some colour. That's one of my favourites. Really like that shot. She looked really well, did Joanna? Same again. Different background. With Harry. Harry's been on the news recently. Harry's 82 and just started modelling last year and gets loads of bookings. It's absolutely crazy. He's a very interesting character. Again, Joanna playing the violin. I needed 20 images from my panel, and I've got about 12. And boom. As we all know, unfortunately, this happened. So what did I do throughout COVID? Well, I went to Manchester. Then I tried to edit images a bit arty because I'd not taken many and I was a bit bored. So I decided, what can I do with images? I quite like that one. I can imagine IKEA selling that. That's the sort of rubbish they sell. Again, you saw that one earlier. Tried textures, and I was really bored at this point. Not been out of the camera for weeks and weeks. And the wife was watching Coronation Street, and I'm bored, and I'm sat there thinking, where the hell's Bette Lynch gone? And I saw flowers. And I'm like, never done flowers. Doesn't interest me one bit. So I took them, and when I brought them back, I got earache because she's like, why is this one missing 3 inches of stem? This one's longer. No idea. Some kids did it. What kids are in bed, so I got earache. And I started playing then and trying to create something. But what I learnt was all these bright shadows get you marked down. So you have to start photoshopping them all out, which takes forever, to be honest. Every time I went to Asda, I came back with some flowers. I went on eBay and ordered 19 vases. So I've got plenty of vases for flowers. I enjoyed doing flowers. I've learned a lot, and I need to learn to improve the lighting on them and things. It was a great learning curve, and it wasn't an expensive learning curve. So I decided to put a couple in competition and see how they do. So I stuck this in competition, and the judge went, "I don't like the vase, it's a bit white." It's a white vase. I don't really like, the flowers are too long. Well, actually the same length as the vase to balance it out. Okay, give up. Next one came up. Oh, I like this one better. The vase isn't as white. It's not white, that's why. So unfortunately, we get these club judges that are different, we'll say. So this was my favourite picture, because at my old house, everybody hated this one neighbour in the street who was an absolute pain. But she had this lovely tree in her front garden. And at 3 a.m. in the morning, I'm in full commando ninja mode, cutting branches off a tree so I can take pictures of them. Anybody know what that is?
Dandelion.
Dandelion.
Yep. Dead easy to do this. People say, how have you managed to isolate one? Bought a little tray off eBay, only for 4" by 3". Put a bit of blue tack in it, pair of tweezers, pop the dandelion on it, just fill it up with water then, and just take your picture. Now the next picture I wanted to do, I couldn't do. And this is what I was trying to do. I wanted to balance a ball of water on top. Every time I did, it fell over. And this is on its way falling. That's the best I got. So also during lockdown, my dog gave birth to three puppies, and this was the day after lockdown when they were going. And I put this picture on social media, and a lady rang me up and said, I want to ask you some questions, if I may. Okay, so she told me who she was, and you know, like you do when you talk to someone, I'm looking on Facebook, I'm thinking, she's a very good dog photographer. And so, I can't help you. She went, well, you can, I'm struggling. Okay, how did you do that picture? So what do you mean, how do you do it? She said, well, I try and do puppies. Those puppies are 8 weeks old and they run all over. Ah, right. I said, you see that ridge there? She went, yeah. I said, you see that ridge there? She went, yeah. I said, I sat them on dining room table. They're not daft, they don't jump off. And that's how you did it. And she didn't know. And that's the only bit I did know. So straight after lockdown, I got a couple of shoots in, which was really nice. So unfortunately, as Jack said, I put weight on, and he has put weight on, he's lost now. I think a lot of us put weight on through lockdown. And I got little Jenny again, and I started using something called Lutz lookup table. I don't know if anybody's ever used them in Photoshop. They're great fun to play with. Then I realised I missed one piece of grass. There's one piece of green grass that just made in composite of Jack serenading a model. And when I sent it to the model, she went, I'm blurred. I went, yeah, you look better. I just wind her up. She's like, I want a proper picture of me. So I had to stick her back in dead sharp, send it her, and then re-blur her. So we're doing this blacksmith pictures, and these are all faked. I've put the flames in. Basically, about 5 years ago, I sat one night, lit the fire pit in the garden, just kicked it, and took pictures of the flames and got a few sparks. The hardest thing was actually making that look real. And every talk I went on, I said to people, should it have sparks when it's hit? And about 10 talks ago, I got a guy who's a blacksmith, and he went, no, it shouldn't. If it sparks, it means the metal is too hot, and it will become brittle. Like, okay, it's great to learn things.
So Lee, just out of curiosity on that one,
Yep.
is there a reason you had to fake that, or is it just not a working blacksmith? Or
No, yeah, it wasn't. It was a disused one on a farm. They'd put red tissue paper in, and it looked really naff, to be honest. So putting the flames in that made it give it a bit more authenticity. So I did this picture, and I send it to friends, and they're like, "Don't like it, don't like it, don't like it." I'm like, "I do." So I entered it in 5 competitions, and it got awards in all 5. So I was like, "Oh." Now this one caused a riot on my Facebook. At the time I did it, that Big Brother was watching people in lockdown, but because the model was half cast, people took it as Black Lives Matters and started loads and loads of arguments. And they're like, no, that's not the point. Then I caused more by doing just wear a mask, which people looked at, and a few friends said, no, you need to get rid of that, you need to try and swap it round. So I swapped it round. It still didn't do anything. People just didn't get it, which wasn't a bad thing, to be honest. Sometimes you can't have people thinking too deep in photography. So I'd done a shoot with Jack and his best friend, and Jack, like I said, does Mad Hatter brilliantly, and I loved playing with Photoshop in lockdown. Just, these are never going to be competition images, but they were just fun. They were just fun to create different things and be able to like stick the mouse in and bend the T, and her expression, she's absolutely made it superb. And then I shrunk her, put the teacup on the angle, and all sorts of silly things that you'd expect in Alice in Wonderland. I shrunk Jack down, and the last picture I did was this, and I wanted Jack to be looking at the watch, but he actually wasn't. He was looking here. So I had to stick a mouse in the teacup to give him the full I'm surprised look. I then stuck him in a bubble. Now I thought this was a good idea because I got 2 kids off school. I'll blow some bubbles and take photographs. No, it doesn't work. Wait till the kids have gone to bed, because every time I blew a bubble, take a picture, well, one of them would pop it. So this 10-minute little shoot turned into about 4 hours, and eventually got a bubble, and I put Jack in the bubble, and everyone went, why is there one bubble? You want more than one bubble? Yeah. Okay, right. Okay, we're a little happier. Why is just Jack in the bubble? I'm like, oh, come on. So I've now put the rabbit in and the cat in. And they were happy then. So I pulled up on my drive and I said to the kids, why have you thrown rubbish on the lawn? We haven't. So I went over to look, and I had 3 mushrooms growing that I'd never seen before. So threw the kids inside, got my camera, led down and took a few pictures. Now I did some wasp photography with a friend, and it's freaky. It really is freaky. We had about 200 wasps around us. This is honey and water. If you use honey, it just clogs up their face and they look messy. The water keeps it quite loose and quite clean. I had wasps on my hands and taking pictures. I had wasps in my hair, and I never got stung once. So I wasn't a threat to them. Does anybody here like Star Wars?
Certainly more than wasps.
Yeah. Well, my son's absolute Lego nut. Loves Lego. So during lockdown, I was ordering him Star Wars Lego, but I was creating scenes from the movies before I gave it him. So I build it, create a scene from the movie, and then give him the Lego, which was great fun. You know, when I was a kid, it was just square blocks Lego. Now, well, Absolutely. The detail and stuff you get. This stuff costs a fortune. This was like 40 quid for this thing. I did buy him the Millennium Falcon here, which is a bargain price of £90 and takes about 5 hours to build. And you give it your 4-year-old and you go to the toilet and you come back and it's back in the 500 pieces that it started in. Yeah, okay, that's never getting rebuilt and it's never been rebuilt again. Yeah, it just gave me some, because I couldn't go out, it just gave me something to do. And it was fun. So as soon as we came out of lockdown, I did a dance shoot. I wasn't overly impressed with the location, but what I did like was the red and the green, but I didn't like the edit. So first thing I did was take it right down, took the shine right out of it, give it a little bit more contrast, and I'm going to leave it like that because I don't know what the hell to do with it, to be honest. I don't think it's good enough for a competition, but we'll see. The other one, I made her do COVID ballet. So imagine you live in a flat and there's nowhere to go, so you're doing ballet on your sofa. Didn't work, but you got to try these things. So I stuck her in a bubble. She's in her own bubble now, and I played with textures and adding musical notes to the ballet, and I quite like that one. I think that one did work out of the ones I tried. The subway I used earlier, got a walking picture of Graham. I've got quite a lot of these. The Joker, I don't know why. I love that sort of stuff anyway, so it probably works a lot better for me. I think colour has to be. I think in monochrome the Joker's not as powerful as the colours. Everyone says to me, "Why have you left the light in?" Because it's not finished. I want Batman here, but I haven't got a Batman yet. So hopefully this year sometime I'll be able to get out and get a Batman to stick there. Just smoke added. And when I did this, it's done really well in competition. I wasn't keen on this. I was like, there's too much space around it, so I came in really close. But that one's actually done better, further away than really, really close. And one thing in photography that's really, really important, I think, is you get your work critiqued. You might not like what you hear and what people say about it, but I think it's really, really important to help you improve. I put this picture in for critique evening at the club, and everyone liked it, but everyone said they're drawn to this, the highlighted area. So I just extended the building, and yeah, it worked. It worked really, really well, which was good. So I had to go at horse portraits. I mean, I'm not a horse person at all. I did a course off a lady called Janie Lazenblit, and she edited 99% how I do. The only thing, I mean, I'm used to painting in blacks. I've never painted in whites, and she painted the whole eye in white, and it really did make a difference. So it's like the hairs. All these hairs are put in after they've all gone, and all these little tufts of hair down here. But it was quite interesting to do. Then Graham rang me up and he's like, "Lee, I need to make some money. I'm not making any money as a model. Will you do a remote shoot with me?" I said, "Yeah, sure," because he knows I'll edit them well. So we did a remote shoot. I said, "Really, we need to improve a few things, Graham." So I had to light the candle. I had to light the cigar. Put the smoke in, but I also had to put text on the book because the book was completely blank and looked odd. So we did a couple of those, slightly lighter that one than that. But again, doing everything. Another composite I played with, nothing special, but then I had to go re-editing my flowers with a bit of text and taking out the highlights on the bottles, which I think really has worked a lot better. But I've done 4. I need to do 20, so quite a way to go. So then I decided to make my dog into a portrait. No reason other than why not? Except my dog is female and that portrait is obviously some famous male. This is Holly. Holly sadly passed away about 5 years ago. She became a new mum, got an illness and passed away. And I've had a lot of shoots with Holly, and I did this one for a 5th anniversary that she passed away. And this is Bolton Abbey in the background. It charged me 10 quid for the restoration of. You are not restoring that, no chance. And I just did butterfly wings for something different, and I really liked it. It's not a competition image. So I put this together, and Critique Night went, "Why have you done the tiles there?" I said, "I don't know." Okay, the tiles need to go. We don't like them. Right, the tiles have gone. They still weren't happy. Why are all the leaves blurred? Some will be on the same plane as her. Right, I've sharpened the leaves. Then I looked at it and thought, I don't like that, so I put another model in. So I did this magnificent shoot with this young lady that is absolutely, again, stunning. I really did enjoy this shoot. So like everything, you play with crops. I did one with all the wings in, and then I cropped in. And I think I prefer the tighter crop, to be honest. Tried the spell one again. Don't think it worked as well. Works better in the second one when I made it a bit more green. I'm not stuck any of these in any competition at the moment, so I don't know how they're going to do. So that's basically what I started with, an image on a white background. And I then stuck it in a forest with some rain that everyone thought was meteors. I'm like, okay. And they didn't like the blue bit up here, so version 3 stuck her in front, because she's the ice queen, in front of the mountains, and I took the blue off up there, and I took my meteor shower off, and the feedback on that was far more positive, so that's good. Trying to play with soft. I struggle with soft colours that a lot of ladies see, and I think ladies are far better at palettes when it's light, airy colours, and I think some of us men sometimes are the blacks and greys, we do a lot better. Why? I don't know, just did. That one I really like, a sad clown. I'd bought this hat, I'd had this hat in the garage for 2 years. And I actually posted it to her because it was a remote shoot. And Mum did all the makeup. And it's really great. Portraits. That was one of my latest. That shot with an f2 lens. I am probably 50, 60 meters away to get that all in and get that depth of field. Very, very shallow. So my last one is what I was doing in the summer. It is a tiny little fox cub. There was 3 of them. They're a long way away. I'm shooting at 700mm. I'm not one of these photographers that will impose myself on wildlife and go into an area where I might disturb them. I was more than happy just to watch these absolutely amazing creatures for a few hours. And it gave me an awful lot of joy. And that is my final one for tonight. So if anybody's got any questions, I'm pretty good on sport ones. Not so good on photography ones, but you know. That is my first 9 years of photography, where I've come from full auto to actually knowing a bit about using a camera.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that.
That's all right.
What I find quite interesting, I'm sorry to jump straight in, guys. What I find quite interesting is the mix of the subjects and the genres and things, and the fact that you're able to try the different things. I think I see a lot of advice that says basically pick a niche, stick with it, find one thing that you like and just focus on that and pretty much nothing but that. Particularly, I suppose, if you're going into business, you want to be known for one thing and one thing only. I think this shows quite well that you can do quite a variety.
It keeps my sanity. Like I said, all the other hobbies I've done in the past, I'm not stuck at. And I've stuck at photography because I've been able to flick from one to another. I went and did rugby last Saturday, which was the first time in 2 years, which was, oh, what a feeling to actually get back out there and, do some pictures was brilliant. I see so many photographers that go, oh, I'm just a wildlife photographer. Why? Do you just watch EastEnders all your life? I don't understand it. It's same when I see classic one, street photography, and people take the backs of people. That's like paying for a portrait shoot and saying to the model, I just want to take the back of you all the time. I'm one of those that will just walk up to somebody 2 foot away, turn around and take their picture and right in the face. It's never bothered me, anything like that. But I wholeheartedly encourage anyone to try everything. You never know. Street photography I enjoy because it's free. Portraits, sometimes I pay for group shoots, sometimes I pay for the model myself, so it gets expensive. And sports 9 times out of 10 free, unless you go to like Alton Park for racing and things. It's all down to your budget, isn't it, and what you enjoy.
Sure.
So the good thing is we're all different, and I don't enter. I basically got my master's from the PSA last year and got 1,507 acceptances over 5 years in international competitions throughout the world, which is a lot.
It sounds a lot. I mean, I've never tried to go competition routes myself.
Yeah, I just found it really addictive. But I found it made me a better photographer because I thought I was good. And when I entered these competitions, I found that I wasn't that good. So it gave me a reality check to like, right, you're going to have to start learning properly. And I think it's done me well. It's been great.
So are these all through the club that you're part of then, or is there other routes that you take in terms of competition entries?
No, the club. These are I do British photographic expeditions. I did that. I've got my 5-star, which is 300 acceptances, and I stopped at that. I do this FIAP, this Global Photographic Union, this PSA. They're the main ones. PSA is the Photographic Society of America, which is actually the biggest photographic organization in the world. And then FIAP, the Federation of International Association of Photography, is the next biggest. They're both the same, but they're both different, so they're interesting. And if you're clever, you can pick a competition that's sponsored by PSA and FIAP, so you're getting points for both.
Right.
So it's good. It is a test. I entered a competition today, and I've not entered any for 3 months now, which is quite good. So I used to enter about 20 a month, which isn't good for the bank balance when it costs about 300 quid a month.
Oof.
Yeah, so cut right back on those, probably because I've no images at the moment, but I'm on a shoot. I'm on a shoot in Lytham near Blackpool on Saturday, and that's got some nice flowing dresses and traditional clothing, so that should be quite good. I mean, I've paid, that's done by somebody else. I paid £89 for that, but there's 7 models and you get half an hour with each, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
If you book a model yourself, you can pay £80 to £100. before studio hire even.
Excellent. So we've kind of touched on things like judges like threes and taking
Yeah.
reflection out of glass and things. Have you got any other sort of key tips to please the judges for those that are taking that route?
The first thing a judge looks for is it in focus? Once you've looked for it, when you're judging, I judge a lot. You are judging at first to get rid of photographs. First thing you want to do is get rid of them. And so you're looking for any fault or any reason to get rid of it. And when you get down to like your top 5 or 6, it then becomes harder. And so the first thing is it in focus? Then you look for highlights. Highlights are always distracting. Colour red is always distracting. Once you get past those, you're looking at composition. Does the composition sit right? Is there anything cut off? Are there any awkward crops on hands? Are the half hands? Is the half a light? And all sorts of silly things like that. When you get down to the final ones, it's very difficult not to put your personal preference in. If I'm judging a competition, some people will go on my website and go, he does portraits. I'll stick a portrait in. Don't do that, because that's where I specialise in. So I'm going to rip your portrait more than something like a street photography that I don't know as much about. So that's always a good thing to do if you know the judge sometimes go the opposite to what they like. I judged a competition just before Christmas, and it's on my wall now. It's a sunny setting, and it's a feather going round in the sand, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I gave it first place, and I've never done this. And I said to whoever's image it is, I said, would you contact me after, because I would like to purchase it. And the gentleman was fantastic. He actually sent me the raw file to print and wouldn't charge me for it because I'd give him first place. I spent £90 on the print, and it sat on my wall, on my wall downstairs. It's the first time I've ever got a picture that's not mine. That's how, wow. You get a feeling with pictures as well. Some pictures feel good. They don't necessarily have to be technically brilliant, but they have a feel to them, and it can stir an emotion, and you make a connection to them that way. And that can be very, very interesting. A lot of people don't like my homeless stuff and say I shouldn't be doing it. Then I have to explain that I am raising awareness of homeless people and trying to help them. I am calling them street ghosts, not because they're insignificant, because people walk past them like they're not there. And once people start to think differently, they're like, well, yeah, you've got a fair point there. Yeah. So you can use photography very positively to change people's perceptions on certain things as well. But yeah, competitions, when it comes down to the last ones, it is really difficult to not go, that's my favourite sort of image. But then you'll just have an odd ball thrown at you, and it'll be like flowers in a vase that I bloody hate. And you'll be like, but it's perfect. The colour, all the colours sit, the contrast, the tonal range, everything is beautiful. And then you say, right, okay. Second place is the portrait, and people are then surprised because you've given the portrait second place and you're a portrait photographer. First place is the flowers. Like, oh. So, yeah, don't be predictable either as a judge. It's always a good one. And I have great.
That's one of the things about judging, as I do a fair amount of judging, and people do try and second guess you when they look at your website and they say, oh, you do such and such, you do this, you do that. Say, no, I don't. I do a variety of stuff that interests me, and you have to come up with something. If you think that I'm going to, my favorite subject is still life.
Yeah.
And that's what I do for my own amusement as much as anything else. And people say, oh yeah, we'll put a still life in, he's going to like that. And as you say, no, because I know all of the significance of where things are placed, why they're placed, all that sort of stuff. So that's what I'm looking at. and you just say about okay, I can, I will tear this to pieces because the composition is wrong, and you haven't thought about why things are in such a place. And sometimes sometimes it just works, and you just say, okay, that's a really good picture, and I like it. And other times you just say, no, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But you look at anything, portraits. I started as a portrait photographer back in the 70s, and so I sort of worked there. And you just think, well, there's lots of differences. There's lots of ways you can take a portrait, and I think people sometimes just are a little hidebound into what they take, what they consider to be a portrait. I mean, I used to do a lot of actors' headshots, and pretty much I could do them in my sleep.
Oh.
And I got bored with it, and I actually gave up. Because I thought, I'm just not getting anything out of this anymore. Nowadays, I go back to it and I think, oh yeah, okay, I can now look at what I'm doing. I can look at lighting. I can look at getting the character out.
Yeah, that's the difference. I see so many badly lit photos where they had the flash too bright and the T-spots all blown out, or the lighting's too flat, and you just like, they just don't understand the basics. Is understanding light. And I always tell people that, I have a brilliant book rolling around the footwell of my car that's all on lighting. And when I go to pick the little lad up from school, if I'm early, just reread the chapters, because it's always good to refresh yourself. But they do all their lighting on still life to show you. I bought a mannequin. I had basically a mannequin because she's plastic, she's highly reflective, so it's great for lighting.
Yeah.
If I positioned it, I would blow out one area, she would really show it to me. So I did that for a year and a half. And yeah, I love portraits, but I love every other aspect of photography. I've not found anything. I struggle with sitting in hides for a long time. Get bored.
I don't have the patience for some of the things.
Yeah,
animal photography, I don't really have the patience for it.
Yeah, I'd love to be good at it.
I don't mind things like sport, sort of horse jumping and things like that. Those I don't mind.
Yeah.
But when you just sort of shooting birds, I know some of those shots of yours were fantastic, but I don't have the patience for that, and I don't like getting up early anymore. I did it for too many years.
Yes, I'm a qualified baker by trade, so I was very used to early, and now I don't like early.
I was an actor for 30 odd years, and you get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to be on set for 6.
Yeah.
And then work until 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then back up again the next morning.
Well, I used to come in from the nightclubs when they shut at 2 o'clock and get up at 3 to go to bake bread. So they could have had anything in that bread some days. Oh, I've got a pile of ingredients I'm not putting that mix. Oh dear. Well.
So I'm going to quickly pick on you for a second. Do you have any questions or anything you'd like to add in?
I feel a bit kind of like there's so much information, so much sort of stuff. I guess one of the things I kind of struggle a bit with, but I guess it's kind of an art in itself, is, and maybe it just shows me up as being a very amateur Puritan, just the sort of, well, I've only got 2 dogs, so I'll just stick another one in. Sort of, the photograph isn't a photograph of something real, it's manufactured.
Well, it is real. The frog is real. I've just put it from something else.
Yeah, but the scene isn't real.
But would you have known that if I hadn't told you?
Possibly not.
Right. So that's the illusion that's done
Yeah,
correctly.
no, I mean, I'm just expressing my reaction to that.
No, that's fine. I understand because
and I mean, just sort of processing and understanding the sort of concept that you're doing that to create an image that is going to be a winning image. And I mean, I guess if you the a lot of what you've sort of shown us and been saying as well, I've been tracking a bit of our last talk that we had, Andy. And you know, like looking at some of your homeless people photographs and just thinking about, so our last talk was very much about using her photography to communicate something.
Yeah.
And your homeless pictures definitely, you know, they really do that very powerfully.
Yes, the storytelling part is important to me. I mean, don't get me wrong; those pictures don't do anything in competition, because people, like I said, don't understand why I'm taking them.
No, but and it's becoming clearer, more and more clear to me that photography, what's kind of most important when you're looking at taking a photograph and then editing it afterwards is to say, why am I doing this? What is my end goal? And that has a huge impact on what goes in or comes out of what the image is. You know, if your objective is to record, you know, then you want it to be exactly what you see. You know, if you wanted to win a competition, then you're going to do everything to make it win the competition
Within the rules.
Within the rules,
Yes.
obviously.
I think there's a really good example of that, actually. One of the ones that Lee showed was the hedgehogs, where you knew what you were going into and you knew what you were going to be going for. So you got a whole bunch of leaves and dried them out for the week before.
Yeah.
Yes.
With that image in mind, because you couldn't have just turned up and taken that shot.
No.
You had to do that. You had to have that foresight of what you wanted that end result.
And that's another whole sort of just your whole sort of thing with birds. You know, you've got images in mind, so manufacture the environment that is going to give you those images. You don't actually have to go into the big wide world and just sit patiently and wait for it to come up.
They do take weeks to get those. So what you do is you are on the edge of a wood where you know there's a lot of birds. You then pick a gap where you've got a clean background. You then will put a tripod in with a clamp on and clamp a branch on for maybe 2 weeks. And over 3 foot away will be a small pot of food that's only big enough for one bird. So bird one that's eating, bird two knows it has to wait. So it waits on the branch. That's where you're getting your pictures. While bird two is waiting for bird one to go. Otherwise, it'll just get shoot
Yeah.
away.
No, I mean, I've never really and just the sort of patience and the fact that you've just taken, you know, like the one of your peer, you've just gone back there time after time after time after time to get the shot you want.
Yeah, because you can't control the weather, can you? I wish we could.
No.
Or it'd be done in one. I mean, I was outside at a rugby match on Saturday, and it was pouring it down. I am stood under a tree trying to get pictures, just because I'd not done it for 2 years, and I was so happy. I didn't care that I was absolutely dripping and soaking.
Well, it's only a bit of rain. Don't melt.
brilliant. It was absolutely lovely feeling. Wife doesn't understand it. She thinks I'm nuts. You're going out in this? Yes.
I stood for 3 hours in a torrential downpour trying to get photos of lightning.
Oh yes.
I was only at the end of it. I realized I was standing under a metal,
Yeah.
a metal overhead. That probably wasn't a good idea.
Probably not. No, you're
No.
quite lucky. Lightning was far away.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't at one point. It was a thing.
I've put it in Photoshop. I've never bothered, to be
So,
honest.
I mean, is photography your livelihood now?
It was until COVID.
Okay.
I did my first piece of work last Tuesday, which was headshots in a dentist, which, as Roger knows, is boring. But you know, we have two disabled children, both autistic. My wife's a nurse. My wife has worked mega hours throughout the pandemic, which has been good for us. And obviously, I'm at home, so I can look after the kids. Most of my weddings move to next year and the year after, so my business will be all right long term. Short term, there's nothing to it. And I've done nearly 100 of these talks, and I've never kept a penny. I have donated every penny to charities. I basically wait till I've got £300, and the first one was an autism charity. The second one was like a food bank charity, but not for people who struggled. It was through people who had been hit by COVID and suddenly lost their income suddenly. And the third one went to a deaf charity, and I think I've got about another 60 quid before the fourth one will go. I don't know where yet, but it'll be a local charity. So, like I said, yeah, I've earned no money. But
Because it just struck me. I noticed in the virtual photo club group, I think somebody asked the question, you know, how do you go from zero to becoming to being able to make a living out of photography?
Be good at what you do. You can't go straight from nothing to full time. You will start building it up. Weddings were perfect because I could do my week job and then do a wedding on a weekend.
Yeah.
The downside to weddings is what people don't realise is it'll take you 2 or 3 weeks to edit those images.
Yeah, I know.
What I've learned now is what some good wedding photographers do is send them to India. I can get 700 images edited for 50 quid in India and turned around in 48 hours, which is like, why the hell am I editing them? So that's what I do now. That's what I will do when I get back into weddings. It then gives me time to focus on building the rest of the business, and things like doing shoots at dentists, solicitors, things like that are mundane and boring. I just had a lady contact me today about doing school children. Maybe, yeah. I'll have a chat with her this week and we'll see. I'd like to go to my daughter's school because they're all autistic and they're all brilliant. They're just on different planets, some of them. It's amazing to see. But it's like any business, it's time. It takes a lot of time. And COVID's not helped many photography businesses. It's killed. I've seen so many wedding photographers have to sell their gear just to survive. And I know they can never get back into it because you think the gear for weddings, they're probably walking in with 10, 12 grand worth of 2 bodies, 3 or 4 lenses, flashes, memory cards.
And they've got to be the right ones. They can't be just anything.
Well, you just buy the best you can. I mean, all my series are all L lenses. You know, if I go to a wedding, I take an 85mm 1.2, 24 72.8, 7200, 2.8. I'll take a wide angle for outside, so I'll take a 1635 f4. Sometimes, if I know it's got a long driveway or nice entrance from a distance, I'll take my 135mm f2. So yeah, I can be walking in with 4 or 5 lenses with 2 bodies. So it's weddings are quite easy when you've done a few. It's all exactly the same, and everything comes at the same part, so you know what's coming. Once you've done 5, you know exactly what the registrar is going to say. You know exactly where you should be stood for that shot. So it's dead easy. The worst thing is always the evenings when they're all drunk. Is that my picture? Do you really want a picture? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I'm a good photographer, but not even I can make
Yes.
you look
Yeah.
beautiful at this stage.
Yeah. I always get, can you make me look slimmer?
I was just going to say that's one I hear a lot.
Yeah.
Events and weddings, yeah.
Yeah. I said, well, you should have gone Weight Watchers 3 months ago. And they look at me. I said, I'm not joking. I've got me digging. No, I can't. I really can't. Can you liquefy me? Do you know how much of a pain that is? Even my wife said to me, can you liquefy our wedding photos? No, I can't. Because you look like that on the day.
So am I the only one amongst the 4 of us who doesn't make a living out of photography?
I don't.
I don't make a living at the
Not
moment.
anymore.
No, but I mean,
I did.
COVID notwithstanding.
Yeah, we'll get back there eventually. But like I said, at the moment, I've got 2 very challenging children that keep me busy. It's good.
Yes.
It's good fun.
Mine was a side job, which was building. Just to what Lee said, you start off and you build up,
Yes.
and it was getting to the point of being there, and then like say COVID hit, and
yeah.
That's
so you were just about to give up your day job and were very glad you didn't.
Near enough, yeah. Not quite at that like I was going to quit tomorrow sort of thing, but
yeah,
it was going in that right direction for me.
I think the most boring thing I've done is houses, because you go in some of them and they're just like a bomb site, and you're like, how am I going to get a picture of this? I've tidied up for you. Really? I don't want to skip. So I'm then throwing everything from one side of the house to the other. Well, no, I won't do that anymore. Because in Preston, they pay pretty poor. It's about 70 quid to do a house. And sometimes you're lucky and you can get in and get out in an hour, but sometimes, no. Terrible. So I won't do them anymore. I would love to do sport full time, and that's what I've always wanted to do, but you need a pro license to get in the pro grounds, and to get a pro license you've got to have 12 images printed in national magazines or newspapers that are fully paid up. How the hell do you get them then if you can't get in the first place? It's catch-22. Not to worry.
Okay, yeah. Any last questions then, just to wrap up, I think?
No,
I'm all good.
Any final
Thank
words
you
of
very
wisdom?
much, Lee.
I've had an enjoyable night. I don't care if there's 1 of you, 2 of you, 3 of you, 4 of you. It makes no difference to me. I will still give the same talk to everybody, and I enjoy meeting new people. If you want to add me to your group, feel free. I'm willing to help anybody that wants or is willing to learn. I have no issue with that. Or any questions, you can always message me through Facebook. I'm an honest person. You can send me a rubbish image, I will tell you what's wrong with it. You know, I've said to people before, why do you even bother pressing the clicker? Yeah, I used to get told at critique night at the club, please, Lee, do not say it is shit. Please do not say it's shit. So that image comes around like, did you edit this with a catapult?
Always got to give them something positive to take away.
Exactly. The most positive thing I can give you is take up needlework. No, I'm a bit nicer now. I could be. I've been an ex-dorm and you see nothing bothers me. It doesn't faze me. I've heard it all before. And so I think people sometimes are like me and they're not. People are sensitive. I'm like fully armor plated. It doesn't. If somebody says my image is rubbish, I'm like, okay, fine. People get upset over them. It took me a while to learn that. Yeah, get upset, not to worry.
What I hate is when judges mark you down because they don't understand the subject.
Yes, that light painting one, which he didn't even know what it was. And I'm like, I had a conversation with a judge once, and I just started judging. I was asking for tips, and he's saying this, that, and the other. I said, "How often do you go out with your camera?" "Oh, about every 3 months." I'm like, "What?" I said, "I shoot for about 6 hours a day." "Oh, yeah. Well, I've been doing it 30 years. I've been doing it 8 at 6 hours a day. You've been doing it 30 years at once every 3 months. I've actually done more than you." Yeah. So, yeah, when people, we seem hung up on time for some reason. The longer people have done it, the better they are. No, it's not necessarily the case. You can have some people who can just pick a camera up and they boom, understand light and see light. And that's the hardest thing to get through to people. The camera is just a machine. It will take what you tell it to take. It's seeing the picture yourself, seeing the highlights, the shadows, the tones, the textures, and being able to get them out of the camera. That's the difference. Right, on that note of wisdom, I'm going to go and get more food.
Yes, thank you very much, Lee. It's been a
Thanks,
very
Lee.
interesting
Thank you,
talk
Lee.
and
Thanks,
a few
Andy.
things to consider.
I've enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay.
See you later.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.